Hey guys, it's JBlade2000 again, with another episode of Rwby Theory. You know, we thought of Yang as human, but could she really have more in common with Billy and Bonnie than most of the humans in Remnant? Hey guys. Alright, so this theory is about Yang Xiaolong. At the end of Volume 2, we had a scene where Yang was called to Beacon's courtyard, I think. It was right in front of Beacon with the big statue thing, by Raven. And Raven was going to tell Yang something about her past or her mother or whatever. And theories have ranged from Raven is Yang's mother, Raven is an alternate Adam from another dimension, which I really like that theory personally, or that Yang is a dragon Faunus. So, that's the theory I want to tackle today. Could Yang really be a dragon Faunus? Okay, first of all, with this theory, we have to have evidence that dragons have existed in Remnant. Second of all, we need to look at the evidence for Yang actually being a Faunus. So the first part will be about, what evidence that we have of dragons living in Remnant, and then we'll look at, the evidence we have of Yang actually being a Faunus. Okay, so what about the dragons? Well, we've seen cars in the Rwby universe, and that means they probably run on oil. Now, they can also run on dust, too. Whoops, I'm sorry. There we go. They could also run on dust, too, because remember, dust is an energy propellant. It's like gasoline for them. It runs airships and weapons and whatnot. However, what if there's some kind of political something or other with the different countries? Because remember, Remnant is an entire planet of different cultures, different countries, different kingdoms, and they're not going to all agree. It's like us here in America in the Middle East, per se. And so, what if the cars run on a specific type of dust, or a type of dust only found in that one region that we have a really hard time with? Or that Vale has a really hard time with, or whatever. You get my point. And so the cars must run on oil. Now, what is oil? Well, oil comes from deep in the ground. Oil comes from ancient creatures, like dinosaurs, per se-ish. So, what does that mean if they have oil in the Rwby universe? Well, it means that there must have been some creatures at some time that have gone extinct. And they're using their bones, or fossilized remains, or what have you, to make that oil for the cars. Now, what could it be? Possibly dragons. Now, I know what you're thinking. And in the very first episode, where it talks about Remnant and Remnant's past, it didn't say anything about dragons living on Remnant. Well, here's the thing. It gave us a very brief overview of Remnant, and besides that, we don't know all of its history. I mean, Ozpin has some big secret that's gonna be revealed that will probably change a lot of the history that we already know in Remnant. Or Cinder might change something that has to do with the history of Remnant. No matter what, that small blurb wasn't enough to give us the details of Remnant. It was just a little introductory thing that set up the world for newcomers to the show. Or anyone to the show, because it was the first episode. So, could dragons have existed? Yes, because we don't know that they don't. I mean, they haven't shown museums or archaeological findings that are just dinosaurs. We have not seen those types of things. So, one of the dinosaurs in this Rwby universe are the dragons. One of dragons at some point ruled the earth and then became extinct, much like the dinosaurs. Okay. But here's the thing. If the Rwby universe was created by some almighty being, a god per se, that created humans and what have you out of dust, where did the dinosaurs fit in? Well, my sister is a very big Lord of the Rings fan, and she told me, like, the big creation story of how Middle-earth was made and stuff, and it turns out that there's this big god named Eru, and then he created all the little gods that made stuff. And when they made creatures on Middle-earth, they made them one at a time. This guy made elves before dwarves, and this guy made, and the dwarves came before the humans. And so, what if this deity or deities in the Rwby universe created dragons first, and the dragons died out, and so he created man from dust? That could be a very viable theory. Okay, so dragons could possibly exist in the Rwby universe, but what about Yang being a dragon Faunus? So, what about it? Well, there have been reports in the Amazon jungle of a dinosaur-like beast, and not just one, there are many, and I can't really pronounce the name. It's something like Bemimbi, Memimbe, or something, whatever. It looks like a giant brontosaurus, and there are tribes, oh, it cut out again, there we go, and there are tribes in, I think it's the Amazon, that claim to have seen this thing that looks like a dinosaur. So there's possibly a dinosaur that's still alive. So then what if there is a dragon still alive in the Rwby universe that survived whatever thing that made them extinct, be it flood or meteor or just dying of not enough food sources, whatever. There's a dragon that survived, and this dragon is female. And so that dragon sees humans be created, and through the ages learns how to change her appearance to make that human. Again, we don't know really the lore of dragons in Rwby. We don't even know if dragons in Rwby exist yet. So, who is to say that dragons aren't like chameleons and can change shape into other creatures? It's very possible. So anyway, the dragon changes shape into human, acts human, talks human, looks everything like a human, except they're a dragon. But people don't know she's a dragon because she looks exactly human. Anyway, she falls in love with a man named Tai Yang. And so, they marry, blah blah blah, have a kid. But this is when Tai Yang finds out they actually married a dragon Faunus, or a dragon. And that's how Yang is made, a dragon Faunus. Now, what evidence is there for Yang being a dragon Faunus? Well, let's think about all the fire. Now, I want to look at this in 2 points. Yang can shoot out fire, but it might just be dust. Here's the thing, they have burn dust in the Rwby universe. That's how Cinder and Yang and whoever else that makes fire, is the dust. And so, that could be it. That Yang just uses dust and she's a normal human. But there is the slight possibility that she could breathe or have pyrokinesis, controlling fire with your mind. Those type of powers, because she's half dragon. Also, some people have mentioned that she might have horns under her long hair, and when you really think about it, that might be viable, because what is she always doing with her hair? Well, she's always playing with it, she's always taking care of it. she has this really long head of hair. And why would she do that? Perhaps to hide some horns. Now, the third piece of evidence is Yang and Blake's relationship. They are very good friends. They are very good teammates. So, why is that? Perhaps it's because Yang is secretly a Faunus. And because she's secretly a Faunus, she knows about all the hate and all the violence and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why she attaches to Blake and becomes best friends with Blake, because they're both Faunuses and they both share the same level of understanding because they're Faunuses. So there's my entire theory on Yang being a dragon Faunus. There's not really much evidence to support it, but you know what? I think it could be a viable theory if Rwby decides to do it, and if the creators of Rwby decide to do it, that's fine. I would really like there to be dragon Faunuses in the Rwby universe, or just dragons in the Rwby universe in general. It's another world, and it has a different physiology than ours, so it would make sense that perhaps some mythical creature like dragons exist in the Rwby universe. So, that's the theory. Ghibli 2000 out.